right, we're going to go about the business of quickly fact-checking that. Two headlines. Jim Jordan still hasn't found her jacket, and Elise Stefanik wants to send Adam Schiff to unanimous consent jail. But there were some lies being disseminated there, and what I don't understand, Chris, is why.
Well, when it's transparent, they know by House resolution they ruled that the opening statement would be shared between the ranking member and his counsel. That's it. There'd be no one else they can yield to. And right in front of the cameras there, they tried to yield to Stefanik so she would do her usual hit job. You know, that's aiming at people who don't know what they're doing. They're aiming at the audience that hasn't been following it, haven't read the paper, doesn't know what they're doing. And it falls upon the Democrats, I say, to at each point they're not doing it, correct their record, make sure. Schiff should have read out at that moment the resolution that said only ranking members and the chair and their counsels are allowed to talk in those first 45 minutes, which they worked out through the whole House. And those people were able to act like they're getting cheated. The tropes here are we're being treated unfairly. There's a transparency problem here. When there's 40 Republicans going down in that, now it's called the basement, now it's called the bunker. It's the skiff, but they're going to make it weirder and weirder. But there's 40 Republicans down there. Yeah, they keep doing this. And by the way, when they testify down there in the skiff, that's secret cult-like behavior. When they come forward and repeat their testimony, it's called a performance. There's no way you can satisfy the critics because their goal here is righteous indignation for the 40% of the country that buys this stuff. By the way, I've never heard politicians talk through talking points by listing the talking points. They actually list 1, 2, 3. They actually, you know what, we've been in that business, but they actually say, here are my talking points. And they go through them. And they're the same all the time.
Well, but the amazing thing is they said, oh, the news that Donald Trump threatened our witness in real time.
Well, that's a tweet.
I'm not going to talk about that. That's a tweet. I mean, the idea, too, that anything untoward has gone on. I actually think that the speed with which the transcripts have been made public is remarkable. And a SCIF, just for anyone who doesn't know, is a secure briefing room. It's usually used for reading and sharing classified information, and it's to do the opposite of what they say. Everything that's happened in those SCIFs or bunkers has been released to the public. Right. So the Republicans, you know, they're dancing so quickly because the attacks are sort of undermined almost as soon as they come out of their mouths.
Well, Nicolle, a SCIF is the opposite of a restaurant in Kiev. When you go to in a local restaurant, there is a room of spies.
Oh, you know what? I'm glad you said that.
And you immediately start talking on your little walkie-talkie to the President of the United States, who picks up the call.
Right. He should. So Trump should be in a SCIF.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me, or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.